what happens when a fan base is willing to destroy anyone who offends their idol. These are the internet's most toxic fan bases. As usual, we'll rank them from least to most disturbing, reveal some of the darkest things fans have done. If you guys are enjoying the channel so far, it would mean the world to me if you subscribe, because it helps me get my videos out to more people, and I promise to do my very best to create the best possible videos I can for you. I'm Visual Venture, and you are awesome. Swifties, the overprotective fan base. So before we begin, I want to make this clear that this is not an attack on Taylor Swift or her fans in general, but there is a toxic part of her fandom that takes things too far. Almost every musician has overprotective fans, but with Taylor Swift, there are thousands of them, and they attack anyone who dares criticize her. In 2020, Taylor Swift released an album titled Folklore. As usual, music critics reviewed it, but one review made Taylor's fans mad. It was from a website called Pitchfork, and the interviewer was a woman named Jill. In her interview, Jill praised Taylor's songwriting, but she didn't like everything about the album, so Jill gave it an 8 out of 10. For most people, that was a positive review, but for radical Swifties, an 8 out of 10 was unacceptable. It was an insult. Taylor's fans started ranting online, complaining about the review. Then one of them came up with a bizarre theory, which was that Jill and Pitchfork were trying to sabotage Taylor Swift. By giving Taylor's album a lower score, Pitchfork would drag down the album's overall rating, also known as a metascore. Once that sabotage theory took hold, fans were mad and they attacked. First, someone posted Jill's personal information online. They leaked her phone number, her address, and even photos of her home. The doxing led to non-stop harassment. Jill got angry calls in the middle of the night. Some callers threatened to burn her house down. She even received death threats. Jill tweeted about how terrifying it felt. She said that it sucked to be scared of every person milling outside, or feel like you can't answer the phone. All of this happened because Jill gave Taylor a good review, but it wasn't good enough. But Jill wasn't the Swifties' only victim. In 2019, comedians Desus and Mero appeared on The Tonight Show. During a guessing game, Mero made a joke. Some Swifties didn't find it funny. They felt Mero was insulting Taylor's looks. Within hours, the comedians were getting death threats. One crazy fan even threatened Mero's kids. It was so bad that the FBI got involved. But Swifties don't just fight outsiders, they attack their own. That's what happened to a woman named Rita in 2019. Rita wasn't a regular fan. She was so devoted that she ran a Taylor Swift fan page. Her room was filled with Taylor Swift merch, and she posted videos of herself singing Taylor's songs. But some Swifties thought Rita's videos were cringy, like she was embarrassing the fandom. So they spammed Rita's videos with hateful comments, trying to bully her into quitting. When Rita refused to stop, the attacks escalated. Someone tried hacking her phone to take over her social media accounts. Another posted her license plate online, putting her at risk. Rita adored Taylor Swift, but she became an enemy simply because she didn't fit their idea of a proper Swiftie. Loving a musical artist is completely normal, but for radical Swifties, anyone who doesn't meet their standards needs to be silenced. This next fan base kicked their leader off the internet. Corpse Husband, the fan base that betrayed their idol. Corpse Husband was a faceless YouTuber who got popular in 2020. His main appeal was his voice. He had this deep, rumbling voice that sounded unreal. That voice, combined with being faceless, made Corpse a sensation. Fans couldn't see him, so they created a perfect fantasy version of him in their heads. But Corpse was a real person, and he was far from perfect. In interviews, Corpse revealed that his deep voice was partly caused by a medical condition. He also had arm pain that affected his daily life. He struggled with anxiety, and he didn't like talking in public because he was scared someone would recognize his voice. That's why he chose to remain faceless. He wanted privacy so he could manage his personal issues without the stress of fame. But some fans didn't care about his struggles. They just wanted to see his face no matter the cost. In 2021, a photo of a man went viral. People claimed it was Corpse Husband. There was just one problem. The man in the photo didn't match the image fans created in their minds. And instead of accepting that, they started mocking the man in the picture. Tweets called him ugly. Some fans unfollowed him. Someone tweeted, unsubbed, and unfollowed Corpse after seeing that face reveal. Like, I thought it was gonna be hot, but he's just some ugly creep. The fans were brutal, but the reaction revealed the truth. Some fans weren't following Corpse for who he was. They were following the fantasy they created. Also, it was never confirmed that the photo was actually Corpse. Fans might have been mocking a random person. Corpse could have addressed the photo directly, but he didn't. He just started pulling away. He tweeted less, he streamed less, and in November, November 2021, he uploaded what would become his last regular video. Years later, his fans still miss him. They leave comments begging for his return. But the truth is hard to ignore. The same fans who demand his comeback are the reason he disappeared. This comment summed it up perfectly. He didn't abandon us, we lost him. We truly didn't deserve this man. This next fan base is huge, loud, and always upset. Star Wars, the fan base that's never satisfied. There's a saying that you can't please everyone. The Star Wars fanbase is proof of that. They've complained about everything: storylines, dialogue, characters, even little things like the color of lightsabers. And when Star Wars fans get upset, they get toxic. Star Wars fans love the original trilogy, but nearly everything released after has been a problem. In 1999, The Phantom Menace hit theaters. It was the first movie after the original trilogy. It was also the first Star Wars movie in 16 years. Fans were excited until they actually saw the movie. Many hated the film. They felt it didn't capture the spirit of the originals. The backlash was so intense that it nearly ended the franchise. Disliking a movie doesn't make someone toxic, but how some fans expressed their anger was ugly. They started harassing the actors. Ahmed Best, the actor who played Jar Jar Binks, was their first target. Because they hated the character, they made Ahmed their punching bag. Ahmed's phone number was leaked. His answering machine was filled with death threats. Over time, the harassment broke him. Ahmed became depressed. He was scared to leave his apartment. Jake Lloyd, the child actor, was the next target. He played young Anakin Skywalker. Being a child didn't save him. Some fans hated his acting, so they tried to find his address so they could camp outside his house and confront him. At school, classmates bullied him constantly. He even got death threats. Because of all the negativity, Jake quit acting entirely. But these toxic fans just got worse. Whenever a new Star Wars movie came out, they found something to complain about, and they started to contradict themselves. By the time The Force Awakens came out in 2015, the cycle was obvious. This time, fans said the movie played it too safe. Some claimed it was just a lazy remake of a previous Star Wars film. Because of that feedback, the creators took risks with the next Star Wars movie. They broke away from the classic formula, but fans hated that too. Now they said it strayed too far from the originals. It seemed the fan base didn't know what it wanted, and as usual, they didn't just complain. They made life hell for Star Wars actors. They harassed one actress by mocking her looks. Someone even added offensive comments to her Wikipedia page. She had to quit Instagram to escape the attacks. Daisy Ridley, the lead actress, wasn't spared. Even new characters couldn't escape. In 2022, the Obi-Wan Kenobi series introduced a villain named Reva. Reva was a character that fans have been asking for, but once she appeared, the same fans didn't like her, so they turned on the actress who played Reva. The attacks became so vicious that the show's producer intervened. He told fans, "If you're sending her bullying messages, you're no Star Wars fan in my mind." The Star Wars fan base created a lose-lose situation. Play it too safe and they complain. Try something new, they complain louder. It begs the question, if every Star Wars movie makes fans mad, maybe the real problem isn't the movies. VTubers, the parasocial fan base. For those of you guys who don't know what a VTuber is, a VTuber stands for virtual YouTuber. They are streamers who appear online as animated characters instead of showing their real faces. Think of it like digital cosplay. Each VTuber plays a character, and fans enjoy the show. But for some fans, watching VTubers isn't just entertainment. Some viewers get obsessed with VTubers. These obsessed fans are known as unicorns. To a unicorn, their favorite VTuber isn't just a character on a screen, she's their virtual girlfriend. In order to maintain that girlfriend fantasy, the VTuber must stay single. She can't flirt or even speak to another man. If she does, they feel betrayed. And when these obsessive fans feel betrayed, the reaction can be explosive. No VTuber learned that lesson harder than Rushia. Rushia was one of Japan's biggest VTubers with over 1 million subscribers. But many of Rushia's fans were unicorns, so they treated Rushia like she was their girlfriend, like she belonged to them, and that almost ruined her life. The issue started on February 10th, 2022. Rushia started a live stream. In the middle of her broadcast, a private message popped up on her screen. It was a message her viewers weren't supposed to see, but they did. The message was from Mafu Mafu, a Japanese male singer. It read, "I just finished the live broadcast and I'm getting ready to go home." The text itself wasn't romantic, but there were already rumors that Rushia and Mafu Mafu were dating. Now, this message from Mafu Mafu appeared on her screen. Her unicorn followers felt lied to. They believed Rushia betrayed them by not not being single. Thousands canceled their paid memberships. Some destroyed their Rusia merch. A few even sent threats to both Rusia and Mafu Mafu. Rusia tried to calm things down. She swore she wasn't dating anybody, but they refused to believe her. To prove her innocence, she posted a screenshot. It was a chat between Rusia and her manager confirming she was single. But posting that chat cost Rusia everything. Like most VTubers, Rusia was signed to a talent agency. The agency had strict confidentiality policies. By posting that private chat with her manager, Rusia broke her non-disclosure agreement. So the agency fired her. Just like that, Rusia lost her platform. Not because she hurt anyone, but because her toxic fans pushed her so far, she broke the rules trying to defend herself. Later that year, another VTuber had a similar problem. In August 2022, a VTuber named Crony streamed a gaming session with several male VTubers. But most of Crony's fans were unicorns just like Rusia's. These obsessive fans hated seeing Crony interact with those male VTubers. They bombarded her live chat with insults. To escape the hostility, Crony took a 2-week break from streaming. But when she returned, she took a different approach. Instead of trying to appease her fans, she stood her ground. She tweeted, "After much consideration, I decided that I will be collaborating with whoever I want." The fact that she had to post that shows how controlling and toxic some VTuber fans can be. The members of this next fan base just can't get along. League of Legends, the fan base that hates each other. No gaming fanbase is as toxic as League of Legends. At least that's what players say. In 2024, a survey asked gamers which fanbase was the worst. Around 36% picked League. What makes this fanbase so bad? It's about how the players treat each other. League of Legends is built around teamwork. 5 players join forces to beat another team. Success depends on working together, but most players end up fighting their own teammates. If someone makes a mistake, their teammates explode. Players scream insults in the chat. Others go even further. They int. Inting is when a player deliberately dies over and over in the game. They do this to either troll or punish their own team. Either way, inting ruins the game for everyone. Riot Games, the company behind League, has tried to control the toxicity. They ban aggressive players, they added mute buttons. They even created a system to reward good behavior, but none of it worked. By 2020, 98% of players said that they have been harassed in-game. 98% is nearly every player. If players are this toxic during casual matches, imagine what happens when money is at stake. League of Legends has massive esports tournaments, and these tournaments offer millions of dollars in prize money. The most famous team in League is T1. They've won countless championships, and their star player named Faker was insanely skilled. Fans called him the Michael Jordan of esports. But in 2020, the same fans who idolized T1 turned on them. That year, T1 failed to qualify for a major tournament. Fans blamed the team's coaches for benching Faker during the qualifiers. The coach who benched Faker received death threats. Other players began getting threats as well. T1's CEO had to plead with fans to stop. Some fans ignored the warning. By September 2020, T1 started tracking down those behind the threats to take legal action. This wasn't the only time fans turned on a professional League team. One team received an actual weapon in the mail. It was supposed to be some kind of warning. It's no wonder so many consider League of Legends the most toxic fanbase in gaming. Up next is a fanbase that operates like a mob. Genshin Impact, the fanbase that bullies. The game Genshin Impact is more popular than people realize. It launched in 2020, just 5 years ago, but it already generated over $6.3 billion in revenue. More than 11 million people play the game every month. That's the population of a small country. But a game this big attracts all kinds of fans. Some of them are notorious for bullying, and sometimes they attack for surprising reasons. It's exactly what happened in 2022. An artist posted an illustration of Kaya, one of Genshin's main characters. It was just fan art, nothing controversial. But the artist made one mistake. Kaya's skin tone was lighter than usual. That small error caused chaos. Hardcore fans demanded the artist delete the drawing. One comment said, "Draw him correctly or don't draw him at all." That was harsh, but some fans went further. Someone stole the drawing, darkened Kaya's skin, and reposted it. They claimed they fixed the art. The artist even tried to apologize. They tweeted, "I didn't mean to paint Kaya's skin color brightly. It turned into to this color unintentionally. I'm sorry for making you feel uncomfortable. But the apology didn't end the harassment. The attacks continued until the artist deleted their Twitter account. And this case was just the beginning. Genshin fans attack artists over little things, like drawing a character in the wrong outfit or the wrong pose. But it's not just artists who get attacked. Even actual employees working on the game have been targeted. In 2021, Genshin added a new character named Kokomi. Unfortunately, some players didn't like her, but they didn't just complain about the character. For some twisted reason, fans attacked the voice actress who played Kokomi. She was live streaming when the insults started. Her chat was filled with hateful comments. It got so bad that she had to turn off the comments. Remember, this voice actress was just an employee. Later, she posted that she only wanted a relaxed and happy environment, but the Genshin mob didn't back off. And this wasn't even the worst moment that year. In September of that year, Genshin celebrated its first anniversary. Fans expected huge rewards, but when the rewards were released, many were disappointed. They felt like the rewards weren't good enough. This time, they didn't just make hateful comments online. They tried to sink the whole ship. Thousands of Genshin fans went on the Google Play Store and review bombed the game. They all left 1-star reviews. On the Play Store, apps with low ratings can disappear from search results. So by review bombing the game, these fans were trying to bury it. The game's rating dropped from 4.5 stars to 2 stars. However, Google noticed what was happening, so Google deleted the fake reviews. But the fact that Google was trying to save the game made fans even angrier. Now, Genshin fans started review bombing Google's apps like Google Classroom. More than 20 apps across the Play Store were filled with fake negative reviews. The war only ended when the developers of Genshin Impact gave in. They added extra rewards to calm the fans down. If this community can sabotage their own game, what'll they do next? Up next is a fan base that chased away the creator of their game. Five Nights at Freddy's, the feral fan base. Five Nights at Freddy's launched in 2014. It was an instant hit. Players took on the role of a night guard trapped in a haunted pizza shop. The game was filled with hidden clues and mysteries waiting to be solved. The community grew fast, but as the fan base exploded, so did its darker side. The game was created by Scott Cawthon, and in the early days, Scott was very active in forums. Scott listened to fans and shaped new games around their ideas. Fans loved having that connection, but the closer Scott stayed to the community, the more demanding it became. In 2015, FNAF 3 and 4 were released, but fans thought the games weren't scary enough. Others thought they were too easy, so angry fans attacked Scott directly. One fan even went after Scott's family. I mean, imagine threatening someone's family over a game. But the attacks didn't stop there. Later that year, Scott released the first Five Nights at Freddy's book. His co-author was a woman named Kira, but fans couldn't find much about her online, so they concluded she didn't exist. They accused Scott of lying and attacked him again. Scott later clarified that Kira was a professional writer, but he told her to make her accounts private because he expected weirdos and creeps to stalk her. That means Scott realized how toxic the FNAF fandom was becoming. In 2016, it got worse. Scott launched a spin-off called FNAF World. The game was buggy, so fans hated it. Scott took the game down, fixed the issues, and re-released it for free. But fans kept criticizing Scott, calling him a sellout. When Scott deleted the worst comments, they accused him of censorship. He simply couldn't win with them. By 2021, he had enough. He stepped away from Five Nights at Freddy's completely. After Scott left, new developers took over to keep the franchise alive, but the toxic fans treated them even worse. In 2024, a fan project called FNAF in Real Time was canceled. The developers revealed they were receiving threatening messages from angry fans. The harassment shook them so much that they abandoned the game too. The community that made FNAF a hit was tearing it apart. One FNAF fan on Reddit said it best: "We literally can't have anything anymore." My friends, being a fan of something isn't an excuse to hurt people. If there's one thing to take away from this video, it's this: we can enjoy good things without tearing others down. Visual Venture. If you guys think this video about fandoms was pretty bad, oh, trust me, it gets worse, and it can even end in death. If you want to see the most disturbing internet fandoms part 1, click here. Love you guys. Peace.
A new Oxford University study is reigniting questions about whether violent video games make people violent.
Police were first alerted about the murders by members of an online gaming community.
The suspect posted about the alleged crimes to the multiplayer adventure fantasy game Perfect World Void, which included pictures.
It is being described as one of the most violent and gruesome video games ever produced for a mass market.
People often say video games distract kids from school, but can games push someone to kill? Today we'll look at gamers who turned violent. As usual, we'll start with the lighter cases and end with the most disturbing ones. So my goal this year, guys, is to give you guys double the amount of videos without sacrificing quality. And to do that, we gotta keep growing. It would mean the absolute world if you subscribe, and I promise I will do my very best to make the best videos I possibly can for you guys. I'm Visual Venture, and you are awesome. Tyler Barris. Tyler Barris had a twisted sense of humor. He loved to scare people by making false device threats. He would dial 911, claim that there was a device in a mall, a school, or another crowded place. This type of prank is called swatting. It's when someone calls the police about a bogus crime to get them to go to someone's house. Obviously, swatting is reckless, illegal, and deadly. By the time he was 25, Tyler had a long record. He was wanted for 30 device threats plus fraud and mischief charges, but he stayed on the run, avoiding the police again and again. Then came December 2017. Tyler was living on the streets of Los Angeles, California, and a gamer friend asked him for a favor, one that would cost an innocent man his life. The friend who needed a favor was a gamer called Viner. Viner was furious. He was in the middle of an online argument with another Call of Duty player. They traded insults online. Then Viner threatened to confront the player in person. The other player called his bluff. He sent an address and wrote, "Please, try something. I'll be waiting." That was when Viner reached out to Tyler. Everyone knew Tyler was the best at making swatting calls, so Tyler handed him the address and told him to do his thing. Tyler grabbed his phone and dialed 911. Tyler pretended to be a deranged man holding his mom and brother hostage. He claimed he would burn the house down. Then he gave the police the address, daring them to stop him. The cops didn't hesitate. They jumped into their cars and raced to the address. But there was one problem. Tyler and Viner thought they were sending police to the gamer they fought with, but they were tricked. In reality, the gamer gave them the wrong address. That address actually belonged to Andrew Finch, an ordinary man with no connection to the fight at all. Andrew had no idea that armed officers were racing to his home to stop a non-existent hostage situation, but the night was about to turn deadly. Around 5 p.m., police arrived at Andrew's home.
Completely unaware of that 911 call, 28-year-old Andrew Finch opened his front door.
Andrew stepped outside and saw armed officers pointed at him. To the police, Andrew was the 911 caller holding his family hostage. To Andrew, nothing made sense. Officers ordered him to raise his hands, but Andrew didn't understand the seriousness of the situation. He hesitated, then lowered his arms. That's when the police did the unthinkable. Andrew was rushed to the hospital. Sadly, he didn't survive. When police searched the home, they discovered the truth. Andrew wasn't the caller. There was no hostage situation. Andrew Finch became the first person to lose their life in a swatting call. The case made national headlines. Investigators knew it was a swatting call, and they were determined to find the culprit. Tyler saw the story on the news. He realized that his prank ended a man's life, but instead of showing remorse, he decided to brag about it. Tyler tweeted, "That kid's house that I swatted is on the news." That single post made it easy for the police to track him down. Tyler was arrested on December 29th, just one day after Andrew lost his life. A judge sentenced him to 20 years in prison. But Tyler wasn't the only one held responsible. Remember the mysterious Call of Duty player who gave the fake address? His name was Shane. He was tracked down and sentenced to 18 months in prison for his role. This next case is about a streamer who made a terrible mistake on a live stream. Staz Reflay. Staz Reflay wasn't satisfied with life as a gamer. The problem was money. Staz launched his YouTube channel in 2014. He did live streams playing Call of Duty and other games, hoping to make it big as a gamer. It didn't take long for him to get frustrated. He wasn't making enough money from gaming, so Staz pivoted. He joined a trend called trash streaming. Trash streams weren't about fun. They were about humiliation. Here's how it worked. The streamer would go live, often surrounded by friends. Then viewers donate money to make them perform dares. It sounds playful until you realize the dares can be anything. Some dares were silly, like throwing food. Others were extremely dangerous or degrading. One dare asked a streamer to bury someone alive, and the streamer did it. Another streamer burnt down a house just because they were dared to. The rule was simple. If a viewer paid, the streamer had to obey. The more extreme the dare, the higher the donation. Technically, streamers could refuse dares, but refusing meant they wouldn't make money, and they could lose their audience. The biggest trash streamers had millions of subscribers on YouTube. For Stas, trash streaming was a gold mine, but instead of sticking to goofy dares, he crossed into cruelty. His streams often featured him harassing homeless people or getting violent with friends on camera. For the right donation, there was nothing Stas wouldn't do. His behavior became so extreme that other streamers stopped working with him, but fans rewarded the cruelty. Donations poured in. Viewers demanded more inappropriate acts. Soon, they wanted Stas to target his own girlfriend, Valentina. Valentina first appeared on Stas's streams in the summer of 2020. At times, they looked like they really love each other, like the perfect couple. Other times, it seemed like they hated each other. They constantly fought on camera. Stas would yell at Valentina, insulting her in front of thousands. The audience noticed, so they pushed Stas to be more aggressive with her. They paid money to see that. Viewers dared Stas to throw eggs at her. He did. They paid him to pepper spray her. He did. The dares escalated into things too disturbing to describe. By September 2020, Valentina had enough. She reported Stas to the police, but no serious action was taken. Even then, Valentina kept showing up for Stas's live streams. Every time she appeared, donations poured in because viewers loved paying Stas to harass her. Then one night, Stas agreed to a dare that would haunt him forever. It was the night of December 2nd, 2020. Stas was streaming with Valentina and his friend Marina. At some point, Marina left. Now Stas and Valentina were alone on camera. Then a viewer offered $1,000 for Stas to lock Valentina outside. The request was insane because it was winter. The temperature was between 17 degrees to 26 degrees Fahrenheit. That's below freezing. But $1,000 was too much to resist. So live on stream, Stas forced Valentina to go out on the balcony. Valentina knocked on the door, but Stas ignored her. Eventually, the knocking stopped. Stas finally opened the door to check on her. She wasn't moving. Stas panicked, but instead of calling an ambulance, he turned back to his viewers. For 2 hours, Stas kept streaming. When he finally called for help, paramedics confirmed Valentina was gone. He was arrested and sentenced to 6 years in a maximum security prison. This next gamer destroyed his life for a ridiculous reason. Menhaz Zaman. Menhaz Zaman's parents didn't just encourage him to get good grades, they demanded it. Menhaz grew up in Canada, but his parents were immigrants from Bangladesh. They were strict about everything, but most of all, they wanted Menhaz to do well in school and become an engineer. For context, academic achievement is a huge deal in Bangladeshi culture. Failing school isn't just personal, it can bring shame to the entire family. For Menhaz, the pressure was suffocating. In 2015, he gave his parents the news they wanted to hear. He told them he was accepted into York University, one of Canada's top colleges. They were thrilled.
Of course, Monrose and Momotaz were extremely pleased to hear the news, and this solidified his position as the golden child of the family.
Yeah, Menhaz was the golden child of the family, the obedient, respectful, and studious son. But the truth was far more embarrassing. Menhaz lied to his family. He didn't get admitted to York University. His grades weren't good enough. But Menhaz couldn't bear to disappoint his parents, so he lied and quietly enrolled at a lesser-known college. Even at this easier school, he struggled. He failed his classes and eventually dropped out. Now he wasn't attending college at all. Still, the lie continued. He couldn't face his parents and admit failure. Each morning, Menhaz's parents watched him leave the house. They thought he was heading to campus. In reality, he was wandering through shopping malls or worked out at the gym. When he wasn't doing that, he was online playing a game called Perfect World. He also spent hours chatting on the game's Discord server. But lies can't last forever. A college degree takes 3 or 4 years. Soon, the day Menhaz was supposed to graduate arrived. July 28th, 2019. Menhaz began to spiral. At this point, most people would come clean, but this was a secret he wanted to keep at any cost. So instead of disappointing his parents, he decided to end them. The day before the graduation, Menhaz sent this message on the Discord gaming server: "Gonna end my parents and go to jail, yo." Other players brushed it off. Menhaz was known for crude, offensive jokes, but this wasn't a joke. Minutes later, he posted photos of his lifeless family. Still, people didn't buy it.
In the beginning, other users weren't really sure as to whether or not they should even believe him. It seemed a lot more likely that he probably just pulled the picture off of a website somewhere and was trolling them.
Someone tried reverse image searching the picture. Nothing came up. It seemed the photos were real. The chat erupted in chaos. Members scrambled to figure out who Menhaz really was, but all they had was his handle. No real name, no address, no way to stop him. Meanwhile, Menhaz kept typing. He wrote, "It's been my plan for 3 years. Literally told my parents my uni graduation was July 28th. I couldn't have delayed it any longer." Then he made a mistake. He logged back into the Perfect World game. That login exposed his IP address. An IP address is like a digital footprint, so it was used to trace the device's location. Admins narrowed Menhaz's location down to Toronto, but Toronto is a massive city with millions of residents. Then Menhaz posted another update. He told the server his father and sister weren't home yet. When they arrived, he planned to do the same to them too. This was no longer a confession, it was a crime in progress. Discord users scrambled to track him down, but his sister and father came home first, and unfortunately, it was too late. Then Menhaz slipped up again. He offered to send money to the group members. It was his way of saying thanks for being there for him. He asked everyone for their PayPal addresses, and he actually sent some of them cash. That transfer finally cracked his identity. It revealed his name. Police were alerted immediately. Officers surrounded his home.
When we got to the front door of the house, that's where we confronted the man, that 23-year-old man who's now in custody.
Before they entered, Menhaz typed one final Discord message. "The police are here. Goodbye." At the trial, Menhaz pleaded guilty. He was sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole until age 64. This next gamer couldn't tell the difference between reality and games. Devin Moore. In 2003, Devin Moore was just 20, but his life was already filled with problems. His childhood was brutal. His father forced him to work long hours and punished him harshly. There was no love in the home. Over time, Devin grew to hate his father. Despite everything, he tried to rise above it. He had no criminal record and earned straight A's in school. He was even accepted into the US Air Force. He was due to leave for service at the end of the summer in 2003. But the problems at home wore him down. Devin spent more and more time locked in his bedroom. There, he spent hours playing video games. His favorite was Grand Theft Auto Vice City. GTA Vice City was notorious when it came out in 2002. Players could steal cars, attack pedestrians, and even end cops. It was so wildly violent, the parents tried to have it banned. For Devin, the game became an escape from his problems. Over time, that escape turned into an obsession. Combined with his unresolved childhood issues, Devin started to lose touch with reality. He began to zone out or retreat into his own little world. Sometimes people could talk to Devin for extended periods, but he would remember none of it. The mix of isolation and violence became a recipe for disaster. That disaster happened in June 2003. Around 3 a.m., police found Devin asleep in a car. It looked suspicious, so they ran the plates. The car was stolen. Devin was arrested, but he insisted he was innocent. He claimed he bought the car for $500. Still, officers brought him in for questioning. At the station, Devin seemed calm, but the calm didn't last. An officer removed Devin's handcuffs to take fingerprints. Then it happened.
Then suddenly, inexplicably, Moore snapped.
Devin grabbed the officer's weapon and fired. 2 officers were hit. Devin then ran through the station and found another officer in the dispatch room. He did the same to him too. In less than a minute, 3 officers were gone. Then Devin acted out something straight from GTA. He stole a car.
Along the way, Moore had grabbed a set of car keys. He went out the door to the parking lot, jumped into a police cruiser, and took off.
But this wasn't a game. Police caught him within hours. When arrested, Devin showed no remorse. Instead, he said, "Life is like a video game. You gotta end sometimes." Devin went to trial, but his defense team tried to explain the violence. They blamed Devin's actions on playing video games from the Grand Theft Auto series, in which players shoot police officers and steal cars. Interestingly, the crime mirrored stuff he did in the game. When the media heard that, they ran with it.
Devin Moore was, in effect, trained to do what he did. He was given a murder simulator.
There were headlines like "GTA made me do it." Devin pleaded not guilty by reason of mental defect. His defense argued that his abusive childhood and obsession with GTA caused him to enter a dissociative state when he committed the crime. But the jury didn't accept it. They decided Devin knew exactly what he was doing. He was given the ultimate punishment, injection. This next case is about a gamer who would go to any length to play his favorite game. Daniel Petrick. Can violent video games affect a child's behavior? Daniel Petrick's parents thought they could. They set a strict rule for all their kids: no violent video games. 15-year-old Daniel was fine with his parents' ban on violent games. He was more interested in sports. He spent most of his time outdoors playing football. He even made the town's football team.
He played tailback, for Wellington and was a defensive linebacker, and he was top-notch.
Daniel had a bright future in sports. Then at 16, a skiing accident destroyed that future. Daniel had a skiing accident and it was bad. Doctors said he could never play football again.
He can no longer play any sports. He's done. Because if he breaks his back, he will be paralyzed.
Daniel was crushed. He needed time to heal and he could not play the sport he loved. During recovery, he did something he wasn't supposed to. He started playing violent video games in secret. He began with games like Call of Duty and Gears of War. Then he discovered Halo. Halo was rated M for mature because it contained violence. It was exactly the kind of game Daniel's parents hated. He became obsessed. Some days he played for 8 hours straight. When Halo 3 released, Daniel snuck out to buy it. His mother caught him with the game on the way home. His parents were furious.
We told him, even though you spent some $70 on this game, you're not playing it and you're not getting it back.
Daniel's dad took the game and locked it in a safe at home. To his parents, it was discipline. To Daniel, it was unfair. On October 13th, Daniel got into a heated argument with his father about Halo. The fight escalated until his father snapped. Stop playing games or leave the house. Daniel chose to leave. He spent the weekend at a friend's house. There, they played Halo for 16 to 18 hours a day, stopping only to eat, sleep, and use the bathroom. But Daniel couldn't stay there forever. When Daniel returned home, his anger toward his parents was deeper than ever. That anger was about to explode. Daniel's copy of Halo was still locked inside his father's safe, so he spent the next week searching for the key. Eventually, he found it. When Daniel opened the safe, he retrieved his game, but there was something else inside, a weapon. The dark idea formed in his mind. That night, Daniel was alone in the house with his parents.
Now, around 7 p.m., Daniel Patrick walks up behind his parents. They're just sitting on the couch together.
Daniel asked them, "Would you guys close your eyes? I have a surprise for you." His parents closed their eyes and Daniel ended them. After his horrible crime, Daniel tried to cover his tracks. He put the item in his father's hand to make it look like his father did it. The plan failed. Daniel's sister and her husband came home just in time. They walked in, saw the scene, and called 911. When his sister showed up, Daniel panicked. He ran out of the house and fled in the family van. He only took one item with him, the Halo 3 game. Daniel's mom didn't survive, but his father did.
I was in the hospital for, I think, 30 days. They did 5 surgeries on me.
From his hospital bed, Daniel's dad told investigators what really happened. Police tracked Daniel down and arrested him. Even in handcuffs, Daniel tried to blame his father. People couldn't believe it. A kid did all this because they took his game away. At trial, Daniel's lawyers argued his gaming addiction warped his sense of reality. In other words, he didn't know what he was doing. The court rejected the insanity defense. Daniel was sentenced to 23 years in prison with the possibility of parole. What happens when you mix dangerous substances with one of the most violent games ever made? Trouble. Warren LeBlanc. This is a story of two friends who bonded over their love of video games, but the games they played may have influenced one of them to take the other's life. The friends were Warren LeBlanc and Stefan Pokira. Warren was 17 and Stefan was 14. They spent hours together at Stefan's house playing games. Their favorite game was Manhunt.
He's being described as one of the most violent and gruesome video games ever produced for a mass market. It is so violent, in fact, that it was banned.
Manhunt rewarded brutality. The more vicious the execution, the higher the score. The violence was graphic and detailed. For Stefan, it was just a game, but Manhunt was affecting Warren in ways no one could see. Reports say Warren had anger issues. He found it difficult to manage his emotions. He started spending time with gang members in his neighborhood. Soon, he began using substances. That's how he got involved with a local gang called the Crusaders. Warren bought from them often, but his spending spiraled out of control. Before long, he owed the gang money, and they didn't take debt lightly. If he failed to pay, the consequences would be fatal. Desperate, Warren came up with a plan. He would rob someone to get the cash, but his choice was shocking. He targeted his own friend, Stefan. In November 2004, Warren lured Stefan to a nearby park. He told them they were meeting girls, but there were no girls. It was a setup. This next part sounds a little bizarre. While they walked through the park, Warren allegedly went into a trance. At least that's what he claimed. He attacked Stefan with an object. By the time Warren came to his senses, it was too late. Stefan didn't survive. 2 hours later, police arrived at the scene. Warren was arrested on the spot. He confessed almost immediately. The case made global headlines, but instead of blaming Warren, much of the public blamed Manhunt. They felt playing such a violent game messed with Warren's head. One disturbing detail fueled the outrage. The weapons Warren used in real life were the same ones used in the game. In the UK, Manhunt was pulled from store shelves. The ban quickly spread to New Zealand, Australia, and Germany. But one question remained. Was Manhunt to blame, or was Warren already headed down a destructive path? The courts put the responsibility on Warren. He was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 15 years. Making friends online can be dangerous. This next case proves that. Guilherme Alves Costa. Guilherme Alves Costa was an 18-year-old living in Brazil. He absolutely loved playing games online, but he wasn't just having fun on the internet. Eventually, he stumbled onto the dark web. There, he joined chat rooms where people shared violent fantasies. Guilherme was seriously influenced by this dark content. He started to have twisted thoughts as well. It was during this time that Guilherme met Ingrid. They became friends during an online Call of Duty match. Guilherme began to trust her. He confided in her about his mental struggles. Ingrid, trying to be supportive, wanted to help, but soon she realized his thoughts were far darker than she imagined. He once sent her a photo of himself holding a weapon. Another time, she asked if he would help him carry out violence in a church. One night, he sent her a weird message: "You must be mine." These were serious red flags, but Ingrid saw them as cries for help. She didn't know Guilherme was spending time on dark web chat rooms that encouraged his fantasies. Eventually, they started meeting in person. Ingrid visited his home, met his mother, and played games with him. Ingrid thought Guilherme was getting better. He wasn't. He was actually getting worse. Guilherme started hearing voices in his head. He was in a very dark place. On February 22nd, 2001, Guilherme texted Ingrid. He said he was feeling sad and wanted her to visit. Ingrid agreed. She arrived around 10 a.m. The two were alone at home. They talked and played Call of Duty. At one point, they took this photo together. But around 1 p.m., Guilherme snapped. He attacked Ingrid with an object. She didn't survive. Then he took photos of the crime scene and posted them online, like he was proud of himself. Social media went into a meltdown. Police raced to Guilherme's home and arrested him. When police asked why he did it, his answer was chilling: "Because I wanted to." Guilherme was sentenced to 14 years in prison. Doctors later diagnosed him with persistent delusional disorder and antisocial personality disorder. He's currently receiving psychiatric treatment behind bars. This next gamer was the worst kind of evil. Stephen McCullough. On December 18th, 2022, police in Northern Ireland received a call about a crime. Someone ended 32-year-old Natalie McNally in her own home. There were no signs of forced entry. That meant Natalie likely let her killer inside. Her body was discovered by her boyfriend, Stephen McCullough. He was the one who called the police. Stephen was taken to the station for questioning, but he was quickly ruled out as a suspect. Stephen had an airtight alibi. Stephen ran a YouTube channel where he reviewed toys and collectibles.
Hello, YouTube viewers and random Doctor Who fans, or hello friendos, I don't know how to introduce these.
He was also a gamer, and on the night of the crime, Stephen was doing a live stream playing games for 6 hours straight.
It's just floating? Right, drop the bomb on the target.
The video was still up on his YouTube channel. Stephen was on camera the entire time. Apart from that, Stephen didn't have a motive to hurt Natalie. They seemed like a happy couple. They were even expecting a baby together.
There's no red flags on either side of the couple. Like, they seem like they would both be amazing parents.
The investigation continued. Police dug deeper into Natalie's relationships. That's when they realized that Stephen did have a motive to harm Natalie. When investigators searched Natalie's phone, they saw strange messages. It turns out she was secretly chatting with her ex-boyfriend. Just 3 days before the incident, she exchanged 33 WhatsApp messages with that ex. Some of these messages were romantic. Detectives believed Stephen saw those messages, and he was probably mad. Now, cops had a theory: a jealous boyfriend who discovered his partner texting her ex. But suspicion wasn't enough. To arrest Stephen, they needed to dismantle his alibi, the live stream. At first glance, the live stream cleared Stephen, but experts noticed strange details. Throughout the video, Stephen kept reminding viewers that he was live.
Hey, and we're live. That's the fun of being live. So I just thought, why not? I'm gonna do a live stream.
He also claimed he couldn't read the chat.
Because this streaming software is kind of up the left, it means I can't check the live chat, which is a real shame.
That was unusual. Why go live if you can't interact with your viewers? Cyber experts were invited to analyze the live stream footage, and they all had the same conclusion. The stream wasn't live. Steven recorded it days earlier and played out as if it was live. His alibi collapsed. When confronted with the evidence, Steven admitted the truth. The stream wasn't live. His new story was that on the night of the crime, he was drinking in his house and fell asleep, but he had no witnesses to back it up. Then detectives found another piece of evidence against Steven. CCTV cameras near Natalie's home captured a man who looked just like Steven. The evidence was overwhelming. On January 31st, about a month after the crime, police arrested Steven again. His case went viral on the internet.
I think this is the only time that someone has tried to use a live stream to prove their innocence and act as a smokescreen to cover up their crimes.
Steven pled not guilty. His trial is still scheduled for November 2025. Games can bring people together from all over the world, but it can also isolate you from the real world. My friends, don't let a virtual world become more important than the life you're actually living. Visual Venture. Wait, before you go, if you guys like this video, I have a video that takes things even further. So we talked about gamers, but this video right here talks about kids who committed the internet's worst crimes. Make sure you guys click here to watch it. Thanks for everything, you guys. Love y'all. Peace. Art has been with us since the beginning, and with the help of technology, we've gone from painting on cave walls to creating breathtaking digital art. So it only makes sense that there would be an online platform dedicated to artists. Welcome to DeviantArt, a virtual gallery for artists to share their work, get feedback, and even get paid for it. Sounds great, right? Well, it was for a while. But in the 20+ years that DeviantArt has been active, it's become a platform for some of the most disgusting pictures imaginable. Let's take a stroll through the gruesome gallery that's DeviantArt. The dark side of AI art. As of writing this video, AI art is one of the most debated topics right now. AI art is art created with the help of artificial intelligence. Basically, there are tools online that can generate artwork just by typing in simple word prompts. For example, if you use an AI art website and just type in Justin Bieber in the style of anime, you'd probably get that result. Some people love it, but a lot of artists hate it. Regardless, it's a huge phenomenon right now. So it only makes sense that the biggest online platform, DeviantArt, also known as DA, would hop on the trend. But how they did it was shocking. In November 2022, DeviantArt tweeted that they would be bringing AI tools to the website. They called it DreamUp, and it's DeviantArt's personal AI art generator. But the artists of DA's community were upset because of how DeviantArt generated this artwork. You see, DeviantArt was stealing art. They automatically opted every single user into DreamUp without their permission. This meant that the AI was learning how to create art through every artist that created content on DeviantArt. DA betrayed their users. And the only way to opt out of DreamUp was to manually remove each piece of artwork they uploaded. We're talking decades of content that artists had to manually remove from DreamUp. But even if they removed them, the damage was already done.
Their new DreamUp system is already trained on the entire art catalog on DeviantArt.
So even if artists opted out of DreamUp, it's likely that the AI had already absorbed their art style. DA eventually updated DreamUp so that users could opt out completely by ticking a checkbox, but people still felt deceived. One user said this: "Thank you for confirming that DA has officially hit rock bottom, and those in charge are completely corrupt. I'll be deleting all my art off there and deactivating my account because this singular move is a massive middle finger to real artists." So many artists were betrayed by a platform they called home, but it's not surprising really because DeviantArt has never seemed to put their users first. You'd be surprised just how much DA users come across inappropriate content. And to show you, we did another experiment. Inappropriate art is everywhere. DeviantArt is known for the weird art people upload onto the website. Some of it can be funny. But a lot of it can be disgusting. But how easy is it for an average DeviantArt user to find these inappropriate photos? To find out, we did an experiment. We wanted to see how DA filters content for users of different age groups. The minimum age required to join DeviantArt is 13. For this experiment, we made two DeviantArt accounts. One is a 20-year-old and the other a 13-year-old. The results were shocking. Let's start with the account that was 20 years old. The account making process was fast. No email verification was required. required. We just made a username, a password, and we were in. When you first open an account, DeviantArt gives you a selection of art categories to pick from. This is so they can create a news feed that's based on your interests. The categories to choose from seemed normal at first. Anime, Marvel movies, game art, until we saw another category that we can't unsee. Kinky. Right away, DA was giving us the option to choose NSFW content as part of our newsfeed. This shows that DeviantArt is aware of the kind of art being put on their platform and even offers it to their users, which is fine, I guess, right? As long as the users are over 18. We didn't choose to include this NSFW content in our feed because we wanted to see if DeviantArt would show us NSFW art even if we didn't pick it. And the result of not choosing this category was a pretty clean feed, at least for now. Now for the account that was 13 years old. The process was the same. We were asked to pick some categories. Thankfully, the kinky genre that we saw on the account that was 20 years old wasn't there. This was a good sign. DeviantArt most likely recognized the age on the account and decided not to give us the option. For the feed, we selected fairly normal categories like Marvel movies and anime. So we hit accept and entered DeviantArt disguised as a 13-year-old, and things seemed normal until we saw our feed. There was a ton of inappropriate content. Keep in mind, we didn't search anything to get these results. We got a feed completely generated by DeviantArt's algorithm. This shows a huge problem. Most of the inappropriate art was in the anime category. It's possible that there's so much inappropriate content in this specific category that DeviantArt just showed us the most popular images. But for an account meant for a 13-year-old, this is unacceptable. DeviantArt has a community of talented artists, but sadly, DA also attracts criminals, and DeviantArt's staff doesn't seem to do much to protect their users from these messed up people. And this is clear as we talk about the jealous people of the DeviantArt community. Stealing art. Last year, I got hacked, and because of that, I made it a point to upgrade my internet security. And one of the first things I needed was a VPN. But I didn't want just any VPN, I wanted the fastest one. After weeks of researching, people all over the internet said Surfshark VPN. People at Surfshark actually care about your security, so Surfshark secures your data with industry-leading encryption and the most secure VPN protocols. But something that I actually didn't believe was that one subscription allows you to install Surfshark on an unlimited number of devices. Like, that genuinely didn't make sense to me, but it's legit. Surfshark is the only VPN to have coverage of 100 countries, and they also have a no logs policy, which means that they don't keep your data. Using Surfshark is a super simple way to keep what you're doing online private. To get started, go to surfshark.deals/visualventure, then use code visualventure to get 83% off the 2-year plan and 3 extra months for free. Go to surfshark.deals/visualventure or click the link in the description. And thank you a ton to Surfshark for sponsoring this video. DeviantArt has over 60 million registered users, but let's face it, not every user is a good artist. So how would someone that isn't a good artist create good art? Some steal it. Many users on DeviantArt steal other artists' work. They steal art by tracing over someone else's art and posting it as their own. Thieves print other users' art on t-shirts and sell them on Redbubble, which is a website where you can print designs on clothes. There was one thief in particular that stole art so well that they built an entire career out of it. Let me tell you about Nadia, an artist's worst nightmare. What we know about Nadia is that she's a mother living in Canada with a deep love for the Japanese animated series Sailor Moon. In fact, all the art Nadia posted on DeviantArt is of Sailor Moon. But here's the thing, none of the art was created by her.
Here are a couple examples of her blatantly tracing over artwork over years, from 2011 to 2020.
Nadia stole art for almost a decade, and even though DeviantArt seemed to have knowledge of Nadia stealing, the website took no action to protect the artist she was stealing from. This is another example of artists not being protected by DeviantArt. Since DeviantArt wouldn't do anything to stop Nadia, the community of artists decided to protect themselves. Users spread the word of Nadia's actions, and it was a success. In December of 2019, Nadia was officially banned from DeviantArt. After Nadia stole from over 150 artists, DA permanently removed her account. The community was relieved that Nadia was finally stopped. But art theft isn't the only issue that DeviantArt users have to worry about. Some users have stolen more than just art. This next user was infamous for harassing others. Tori the Wolfie. We're gonna get straight into the story of one of the most hated users in DeviantArt history. One user even referred to him as a cyber terrorist. Don't let the innocent name Tori the Wolfie fool you. This guy was infamous on DeviantArt for harassing and threatening countless users, and he got away with it because he kept making different accounts to avoid being banned.
Person having made over 100 accounts due to them constantly evading bans.
Tori didn't face any consequences for his actions, so his actions just kept getting worse. In June 2016, a user by the name of the Fandom Menace started a petition on the DeviantArt website. The Fandom Menace wanted fetish-related content to be moved to the mature category instead of being in the general feed. That way, this type of inappropriate content would be censored and most users wouldn't have to see it. Tori the Wolfie didn't like this idea. Tori started to harass the Fandom Menace with inappropriate images and death threats. This caused the Fandom Menace to report Tori to the FBI, but Tori still didn't face any consequences, so he kept on bullying.
The guy also went into pretty illegal territory by falsely copyright claiming a bunch of the Fandom Menace's videos.
Tori the Wolfie's online attacks continued with Menace, but he also decided to target another YouTuber, Deviant Cringe. Deviant Cringe, also known as DC, was a YouTuber who posted content on DeviantArt. His videos were known to be controversial, which made him an easy target for Tori. Once again, Tori wasn't afraid of any consequences, so his next actions went too far. Tori the Wolfie hacked Deviant Cringe's Twitter account, a YouTube account, and DeviantArt account. Tori completely shut down Deviant Cringe's YouTube channel, and as a YouTuber myself, that is terrifying. So where is Tori the Wolfie today? Tori seems to have disappeared. All that remains today about Tori is the post that claims that Tori has been permanently removed from DeviantArt. Let's hope that's the last we'll see of him. But Tori isn't the only user on DeviantArt that brought negativity to the community. In this next chapter, one of the most well-known users on DA has done things to another user that's even more illegal. The real-life stalker. Shannon, aka Creepshow Art, was a big name in the art community. Shannon had a successful YouTube channel where she shared stories and commentary on art. But her online platform would come crashing down when an awful situation came to light that would end Shannon's career forever.
That she suffered, as far as I understand it, the greatest percentage lost of subscribers of any cancellation ever.
She went from around 600,000 subscribers to 290,000. So what happened? Well, it all started with a woman named Emily. Emily was a young woman who fell in love with a guy named Anthony. It was young love at first, but it wasn't long before Anthony's true colors began to show. Emily was struggling in the relationship because of mental and physical abuse from Anthony. So eventually, Emily ended her relationship with Anthony, and she started to get her life back on track. She got a new job and started a YouTube channel. Things were finally looking up, but that didn't last long. Suddenly, Emily was targeted by a mysterious stalker. For 8 years, this person harassed and tormented Emily in so many ways. The stalker would take pictures of Emily walking down the street, make accusations of Emily faking her success, and even hack into Emily's Facebook account. The hacker even stole compromising photos directly from Emily's Facebook account and sent them to her employer. Because of these pictures, Emily got fired from her job. The stalker tried to ruin Emily's life, and Emily couldn't do anything about it because she didn't know who the stalker was until she finally put the pieces together.
All of a sudden, out of the blue, Andrew started following me and then responded to me and one of my viewers congratulating me.
This happened at the same time random Twitter accounts started to accuse Emily of using fake bot accounts to increase her followers. Isn't it strange that Anthony would reach out just to accuse Emily of the exact same thing at the exact same time? Well, it wasn't a coincidence. Emily realized that a few months later when she was on Instagram.
Scrolling through Instagram one day, and I noticed a drawing that resembles Andrew because Andrew had a very specific look to him, and I was like, oh, who drew this? What a coinky-dink. Creepshow Art.
That was when Emily knew something wasn't right, so she started to investigate further. Emily tricked one of the accounts harassing her to click on a Grabify link. A Grabify link is a hyperlink that will share the IP address and location of anyone that clicks it. When the user of one of the accounts harassing Emily clicked the Grabify link, Emily saw that the IP was connected to the Tigard Public Library in Oregon. And that's when Emily knew.
I would go every day to a Starbucks or to the Tigard Public Library
and I would sit and I would just draw for hours.
Shannon, the girl behind Creepshow Art and Anthony's current partner, was always at the same library as Emily's stalker. This is all alleged, but the evidence keeps piling up. Then, Shannon's friends came forward and said that they witnessed Shannon harassing Emily, and even Shannon's own sister admitted to Shannon stalking Emily. So now the big question is, why did Shannon stalk Emily? Why would Shannon and Anthony go to all this trouble to try and ruin Emily's life? Well, back when Emily and Anthony were dating, they made music together. And even shortly after they broke up, they still continued to make music together. One day, Anthony wanted to record a song called Stardust with Emily. But when Emily started to record, there were some vocals recorded by someone else.
And I say, man, that girl's voice is weak. It doesn't sound good on the track. My voice would sound so much better.
So they re-recorded the song with Emily's vocals. But can you guess who the original singer was? It was none other than Shannon, aka Creepshow Art herself. Shannon's beef with Emily started because Emily dissed Shannon's singing voice. Shannon allegedly dedicated 8 years of her life to harassing Emily over vocals for a song. And when Emily exposed Shannon as the mysterious stalker, Shannon's YouTube stardom was lost forever. But Creepshow Art isn't the weirdest situation to come out of DeviantArt. This next story is one of the strangest stories we've ever covered on Visual Venture. The strange case of Magazine 7. DeviantArt is home to some of the strangest people on the internet, but there's one user that stood out in a really uncomfortable way. Magazine 7. We discovered the DeviantArt user Magazine 7 through a video made by the Internet Investigator, and what we saw was weird. As soon as you open Magazine 7's page, you see the really odd content. Most of his posts are flagged as sensitive content, and the ones that aren't really should be flagged too. But the posts aren't drawings. They're selfies taken by a man in his 40s named Alessandro. Alessandro had some of the most disturbing captions for these selfies. This is the description under one picture of what looks like Alessandro's legs. My wife and I spanked all of our boy Alessandro's skin because he talked to us without asking our authorization. We parents are really fed up with suffering the total freedom of our son. We established new rules in January 2022, and he has the full duty of obeying to any our rule, any our command. This is some weird stuff. There are so many other posts similar to this on Magazine 7's page. They're written by either Alessandro or his parents. All the posts usually go into detail of how Alessandro's parents abuse him, calling him their big boy or a grown kid. The reasons the parents claim for hurting Alessandro doesn't make sense.
The reasons include Al watching a movie without authorization from his parents, him not showering for a day, getting into an argument with his parents, playing a game for too long.
Are these posts really from his parents? Who is Alessandro and why did he make these posts? The first theory is that everything in the posts is true. Alessandro could have a disability and can't take care of himself, so he's left in the care of his cruel parents. But this theory doesn't make sense. If you look at the posts supposedly written by his mom and dad, they're all written in the exact same way as Alessandro's posts. The posts claim to be made by his parents, make the same spelling errors, and have the same bad grammar as the posts by Alessandro. So there's a chance that Alessandro wrote all the posts himself. And even if his parents had written the posts, why would they tell the internet that they abused their disabled son and signed their names at the end of the post caption? The second theory is that everything in the posts is based on Alessandro's sick fantasies. This theory could explain why Alessandro's posts are so graphic, but there are still some questions unanswered by this theory. A lot of the content on the account is NSFW, but there's also a lot of genuine art by Alessandro. If this was some kind of strange fantasy account made by Alessandro's desires, then why would he include regular posts of his art? So we dug even deeper. We found a page on an art gallery website written by Alessandro. On the page, Alessandro talks about his art style, but he also mentions that he lives with his parents. Quote, "I love and live with my parents, who are my life despite my adulthood." He only posted 2 selfies shirtless to this online gallery, and he was selling his selfies on another website. Now we had even more questions. After more research, we found Alessandro's Facebook page and found out that Alessandro has been unemployed since 2016, and the story of his life takes a dark turn. Alessandro also claims to have worked for a place called Progetta Ithaca Roma Hospice and Support Group for Disabled Children. We have not verified if Alessandro worked there, but if he did, it's concerning. If Alessandro did work at this hospice, this means that he had access to young people who could have been the same age he was pretending to be on his Magazine 7 DeviantArt page. So did Alessandro leave this job willingly, or was he thrown out? The truth is, we might never know who Alessandro really is and why he does what he does. But one thing that we do know is that Alessandro may be one of the strangest people on DeviantArt. DeviantArt seems to be a place filled with selfish people who hurt others. But it's also a place filled with some of the most incredible artists. And for many people who have disabilities, art speaks when words cannot. I'm not against DeviantArt, but my mission is to help you guys stay safe. I want you guys to stand up when you see someone online hurting others. Because on the internet, there are so many sheep, not enough wolves. Which one are you? Visual Venture. Wait, before you go, click this playlist right here to watch more dark internet documentaries, because our new goal is 500,000 subscribers by the end of 2023. Thank you for being on this journey with me. Peace.
Now, anybody with a business named Freddy's needs to beware.
At Freddy's Pizzeria in Long Branch, the phone seems to never stop ringing.
Scott, I have your family's names, and I'm not afraid to do something bad with them. Like, give them to a hacker on a hacking forum on the deep web. This person was angry at Scott for making FNAF 3 and 4.
Five Nights at Freddy's, arguably one of the most popular video games of all time. With a blockbuster movie, 9 beloved game installments, the Five Nights at Freddy's community has only grown throughout the years. But that may not necessarily be a good thing. My name is Visual Venture, and we'll be diving deeper into the dark side of the FNAF community. Make sure to stay till the end to find out about the most disturbing parts of the fandom that you might not even know existed. Stolen designs. With Five Nights at Freddy's, aka FNAF, having such a large worldwide fandom, many people have taken this as an opportunity to make some cash, but not in the most ethical ways. There are countless cases of people using FNAF materials, both copyrighted and fan-made, to make money online. Theft has been a common problem in the FNAF community, with so many fan projects like fan arts and fan renders being created on a daily basis. Many artists tend to get their work stolen and reused for commercial purposes without their permission.
This is my most stolen piece of artwork I have ever made. I don't know what it is about it, but it is literally everywhere. I've had friends that have seen it on Pinterest with no credit. I've seen it on Amazon. I've seen it on, well, AliExpress.
Artists constantly have their work stolen and made into merchandise, which have made thousands of dollars. But the artists themselves get no credit, and more importantly, no money from the profits. All this, unfortunately, is a common thing in most fandoms. There are plenty of artists that have to fight tooth and nail to get their designs removed from the shops of random sellers. This problem of unauthorized selling isn't limited to third parties. There have been incidents where the masterminds behind the actual FNAF franchise themselves have used fan art and renders without permission from the original creators. Controversy arose when the teaser images of the long-awaited Five Nights at Freddy's VR game Help Wanted were released back in 2019. In one of the teasers, there was a blue render of Funtime Foxy, which at first glance just looked like a new model. But upon further inspection, fans started to notice that this was not the case.
If we transpose Gabbo's Foxy head onto the Foxy in the image, it becomes extremely apparent that at least some of this Funtime Foxy was copied from Gabbo.
The majority of the Foxy model was actually a fan render that was made by an artist in the community. And that artist in particular had not given the franchise permission to use their work, and was not compensated for it either. Scott Cawthon, the creator of the FNAF franchise, was quick to apologize for this incident. The teaser was immediately taken down and a statement was released explaining the situation. In the statement, Scott said that this was an isolated incident and that it wasn't done with bad intentions. He then praised the artists in the community for their talent, saying that some fan models even look better than the official ones. And while the statement was well received within the community, believing it was a genuine mistake, this isn't the first time something like this has happened.
Funko, this isn't your original design. You stole this.
On August 25th, 2018, YouTuber Animatronic posted this video titled Funko Stole Fan-Made Designs. In the video, she reviewed a line of FNAF-inspired figures by Funko called the Arcade Vinyl Collection. And for the first half of the video, things seemed to be going alright. That is, until she got to the Foxy figure in the collection.
I knew I'd seen this somewhere before, but gosh, this is really strange. It's still a cool figure, but now we know it was really made by a true fan. A fan that was kind of ripped off.
And this is just the tip of the iceberg, because some members of the FNAF fandom are more than capable of inflicting harm. The toxic culture. Ever since the first Five Nights at Freddy's release in 2014, the fanbase has been growing, but the bigger the community, the more bad apples there are. And the FNAF community soon earned itself a negative reputation that it did not want to have. Toxicity is a common thing when it comes to large-scale online fandoms, and for the FNAF community, that is no exception. But while many fandoms seem to be wary and even aggressive towards outsiders, the FNAF fandom is one of the rare few that has just as much internal hostility as they do external. Within the FNAF world, fans get excited about different parts of the story, whether it's games, books, or shows. But this means that everyone forms different opinions. But instead of accepting differing opinions, many members start conflict. Whenever theorists don't agree on a certain fan theory, it becomes a breeding ground for intense hatred in the community. Fan wars have become a norm in the fandom, which have escalated to not just arguments, but also more concerning things like threats and even doxing. This vocal minority of the fandom has even taken their toxicity outside of the community, issuing threats to people's families, friends, and coworkers. Even the creator of the franchise is not immune to this toxicity. Scott Cawthon, the creator of the FNAF franchise, has dealt with his own fair share of issues when it comes to the fandom, particularly in regards to the safety and privacy of him and his family.
Scott, I have your family's names, and I'm not afraid to do something bad with them.
Back in 2021, Scott Cawthon stepped down from his role as head of the FNAF franchise after a major controversy regarding donations he made to certain politicians. As a result, many FNAF fans turned against him and he backed away from the franchise completely. However, instead of leaving it at that, some angered FNAF fans went as far as to try and dox him by exposing his personal information, like his home address, which they found from the donation page. And to make things worse, they even sent threats to his pregnant wife, who had no relation to Scott's personal donations. Fans should be allowed to speak their minds about Scott's choices, but escalating it to the point of potential harm is too much, especially since Scott's family was being dragged into it. But on the other side of the coin, there were also diehard Scott fans that were also doxing others in an attempt to defend him. Vivian Medrano, aka Vivi's Pot, known best for creating the animated series Has Been Hotel, took to Twitter to speak up about Scott's controversy. In her tweets, she talked about how she believed Scott could have handled the situation better, but many Scott supporters were not fond of this and thought that Vivian was encouraging the public to continue bashing on Scott, so they decided to dox her in retaliation. But Scott Cawthon isn't the only one facing controversy. It's become a common pattern among official FNAF staff members. Controversy from within. Before we talk about the controversial employees within the FNAF community, I want to thank today's incredible sponsor, Manscaped. So the product I have for you guys today is the Handyman Compact Face Shaver. I'm going to tell you guys a secret. So I've never used a normal razor before. I've never even bought shaving cream in my life. 2 reasons. I'm terrified of getting cuts from normal razors, and electric shavers are just straight up more convenient. But I know that normal razors give you a better shave than electric ones. Until today, because the Handyman gets you the closest shave of any electric shaver that I know of and features skin-safe technology designed to help reduce cuts. It has a unique dual blade. One side is a long hair lever blade to cut down long stubble, then use the other side, which is a standard foil lever for a smooth finish. As a YouTuber, I'm literally working 14 hours a day, so I try to find ways to make things more convenient for me. The Handyman cuts down a lot of time because it's compact, so I can take it anywhere and store it anywhere, and it's waterproof, which makes cleanup super easy. And because of its compact size and rechargeable battery, it's also airplane friendly. It has a whole 60 minutes runtime on a single charge. Manscaped gave me a special deal for you guys. Go to manscaped.com/visual and use my code VISUAL20 at checkout to get 20% off your purchase of the Handyman. I'm definitely going to use this thing for a super long time. When it comes to controversial employees in the FNAF franchise, there's one particular name that comes to mind for most fans, and that is Lady Fizzy. Lady Fizzy was a popular FNAF fan artist turned into official employee. Over time, she created many official artwork for the franchise, including cover art for FNAF books and graphic novels, as well as models for the game. Outside of her art, she's also well known for writing fan fiction, which gained popularity in the FNAF community. To many fans, Lady Fizzy was living the life. Going from a fan to an actual employee was a dream come true. But for Lady Fizzy, it was more like a nightmare. Her career was cut short when harmful information from her past was revealed to the public. Lady Fizzy had a few concerning interests, which she openly talked about. One of which being that she's a lolicon, which basically means that she's fascinated with people that take on the appearance of young girls. This in itself was disturbing to a lot of FNAF fans, considering that a large portion of the fandom were a younger demographic. But that wasn't all. In her fan fictions, people started finding creepy details which included kinks given to FNAF characters that were severely frowned upon, and also young characters in questionable settings, ones that are so bad that we can't even mention. With all this evidence pointing towards Lady Fizzy being unfit for a role on the FNAF team, the community pushed for her to be terminated from the company.
The hate for Fizzy got so strong and enough that around early 2023, a hashtag was made and spread around Twitter, #FireLadyFizzy, as an effort to encourage Scott to fire her from the series.
This movement ended up working, with Scott informing the public that Fizzy was removed shortly after this hashtag went viral. But she wasn't the only questionable employee that Scott ever hired. Pinky Pills was also a fan turned official artist, and she also had her own unsettling interests. In her free time, Pinky liked to draw intimate art featuring FNAF characters, but the scenarios that she would draw them in was enough to earn her disapproval from the community. And alongside that, she was also exposed for tracing her work, including the official art that she did for the FNAF team. And her traced artwork ended up being used in actual FNAF materials. Pinky Pills hasn't faced nearly as much scrutiny as Fizzy did for her actions, but word is quickly spreading about what she's done. As of right now though, she supposedly still works for the FNAF franchise. My friends, we're just scratching the surface of disgusting people in the FNAF community, because these disturbing individuals we're about to talk about have masked their true identities behind their fan games. Games not meant for kids.
Hello everybody, my name is Markiplier and welcome to the mega episode of Five Nights at Freddy's Fan Games.
When it comes to fan-made content, there are few communities that can compare to Five Nights at Freddy's. The fan game culture is huge within the fandom, with some developers creating games that are so good that they're comparable to the original ones. But while there are undoubtedly gems in the FNAF fan game genre, there are also some games that are not only poor in quality, but just straight up wrong. Funtime at Homer's is a fan game that mixes The Simpsons and FNAF together, but in the trailer video for the game, it was found that the N-word was plastered somewhere in the video. This of course caught the attention of fans, and the developer was quickly called out. Another fan game called Five Nights at the Haunted House also found themselves in controversy, but for a much worse reason. In the Five Nights at Freddy's games, the introduction scene is always a series of newspaper headlines that relate to the game. But in this fan game, the newspaper headlines were not only morbid, but also real. The headlines featured real missing persons cases, including two of whom both sadly ended up passing away. The developer was immediately criticized for being insensitive and using the pain of real families as part of his game. And these fan games just get worse. While fan games are its own category in the FNAF community, there's a subcategory of games that's been growing in popularity: NSFW FNAF games. In these games, the animatronics from the original series are made to look more human-like, more sensual. This means giving them revealing outfits or modifying their bodies to exaggerate certain parts so they fit with the adult theme more. One of the most popular FNAF fan games is called Five Nights in Anime. These are games that morph the animatronics to look more like grown women, putting them in skimpy clothing and changing up their behavior to be more intimate. And in these games, instead of surviving the night like the original game's premise is, these new characters want to do other activities with players during the night instead. What's concerning about this sudden spike in inappropriate fan games is that a lot of FNAF fans are relatively young, and they easily have access to these games. These risque character models have made their way throughout every inch of the internet, through fan art that's posted on social media, videos that are created using the models, and even as virtual avatars in games like VR Chat. In VR Chat, avatars from Five Nights in Anime, or FNIA, have taken over the game, becoming some of the most commonly used avatars. There's an entire market for avatars like these, and people pay real money to buy them. And since FNIA is an adult-themed game, many have used the avatars for inappropriate reasons, implementing features like doing certain actions. There are even exclusive VR chat events that are hosted that can only be attended by FNIA avatars. And as you likely guessed, they aren't safe for work either. Since there's no age verification on the game, many of VR chat's players are actually kids. Those with FNIA avatars commonly use VR chat as a way to meet potential partners. With nothing to go off aside from a voice and no way to verify anyone's age, you can see how this can be a scary situation. But despite the nature of these games, there are many FNIA fans who love them. One of the most common topics they talk about on social media is just how attracted they are to some characters. The rapid rise of these types of fan games created a new subculture within the fandom, attracting those who like the game's characters just a little too much.
Fan content can be genuinely fantastic, but it's nearly impossible to ignore how awful the waste can be.
I want Funtime Freddy to slap the tip on the camera as a treat.
When people think of the Five Nights at Freddy's fandom, many people associate it with inappropriate content. And that's because while not every member of the community is like this, there's a fair amount of fans that are drawn to the animatronics in ways that they shouldn't be. This growing attraction to the animatronics has created an influx of questionable content to be made about the characters. And this sort of content isn't shared in private. It's widely available on YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok. And not to mention, it's easily found on Google. So I've already mentioned the implications that this could have on children, since they stumble upon this stuff easily while just looking for FNAF content. But there are other red flags, particularly when it comes to the characters being featured in this sort of content. In the original game, the 5 main animatronics are possessed by the spirits of 5 children that have passed at the hands of William Afton. With that in mind, some people have become disturbed at the fact that animatronics that are supposed to represent 5 kids are being seen as attractive. And in Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach, the main protagonist is actually a young boy named Gregory. Gregory is often depicted in gross scenarios for content, which is a terrifying thought considering he is a child. And he's constantly being shipped with animatronic characters or older characters, like Vanessa, a character in the series who also happens to be 23. And this is just the beginning. Dormitabus is an infamous FNAF fan game that gained popularity not for its quality, but for its horrifying story.
Dormitabus is a disgusting, vile game made by an alleged that crashed on me over 10 times across the course of my entire playthrough.
Created by the developer Nietzsche, aka Blackout 1912, Dormitabus soon made its rounds in the FNAF community after many content creators started calling the game out for its creepy elements. This is in reference to one of the main characters, Garvey. In one of the tape recordings that you can find lying around, Garvey recalls a time in his life where he did bad things, particularly to a young girl. In the tape, it's clear that the Garvey character was not only remorseful, but also happy about it. He called it a fun time. This was already enough to disturb players, but what made things even worse was that this wasn't just fiction. The developer had created this character based off of a real person, himself. On November 12th of 2020, a YouTuber by the name of Nocturnum uploaded a video that exposed Nietzsche for all of the questionable things he's done. This included showcasing his history of blackmail and manipulation. But that wasn't all, because Nocturnum would go on to talk about how he was added into a mysterious group chat out of nowhere. And that's where he'd see Nietzsche's true colors. In the group chat, Nietzsche was said to have touchy interactions with other users, particularly ones that were much younger than him. But while Nietzsche's fantasies were quickly condemned by the FNAF community, developers like this are far from rare. Similar to Nietzsche, the developer Jonochrome was also exposed for similar reasons. Jonochrome was best known for the fan games One Night at Flumpty's and Riddle School, but after his messages got leaked, his reputation was destroyed in the community. He was allegedly said to be in an inappropriate relationship with someone named Emily. This relationship lasted for 5 years until Emily decided to expose everything in 2021. fun. Emily's statement came out at around the same time that Jomochrome was dropping the 4th installment of his beloved fan game series One Night at Flumpy's. So some fans of the game didn't believe her, calling it convenient timing. But another fan game developer, Kane Carter, was able to confirm that the allegations against Jomochrome were true. So Jomochrome spoke up.
John made his own statement on Twitter, once again confirming that the allegations were true.
Jomochrome then took next steps to try to fix his past mistakes, such as enrolling in therapy. Some believed that this was a true mistake and that Jomochrome was capable of change, while others didn't.
In this next chapter, we'll see how some fans blur the lines between make-believe and reality, even connecting FNAF to a real crime.
Taking theories to the extreme. Theories are one of the biggest parts of the Five Nights at Freddy's fandom. With so many games, books, and now a movie, there is a ton of lore that fans want to build upon. FNAF theorists are constantly looking to expand upon each character's lore, backstory, and overall plot of the game, but it's not always in a good way, because sometimes these theories get so out of hand that it has real-world consequences. One of the most infamous theories in the FNAF community actually stems from a real-life crime. In the FNAF games, it's said that the animatronics are possessed by the spirits of children who have passed. Well, back in 1993, there was an incident that occurred at a Chuck E. Cheese in Aurora, Colorado. 19-year-old Nathan Dunlap, a former employee, stormed into the store and caused havoc, and in turn ended 4 young children who were there at the time. This crime has a vague similarity to the FNAF storyline, considering that the children also were at a place with animatronics, but it didn't really become a popular theory until Matt Pat covered it on Game Theory. Since then, it's completely gotten out of hand. It created real-world tensions between the FNAF community and the Chuck E. Cheese franchise. Fans have used this theory to connect the business with the game, which Chuck E. Cheese did not like. Things have only gotten worse in recent months following the release of the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. It's been said that Chuck E. Cheese hated being associated with FNAF, and that they've gotten to the point of blocking people online who compare them to Freddy's Pizzeria. However, during the FNAF movie's promotion period, Chuck E. Cheese tried to take advantage of this for their marketing strategy. They created ads and events that were similar to FNAF lore in an attempt to try and get more customers while the movie was being hyped up. This was not received well by FNAF fans, as tensions were already high between the two communities and fans started to retaliate. And if we're talking about theories, then it should be no surprise that the most popular sub-fandom of the FNAF community also has a theory of their own. The adult theory is a theory that became popularized upon the release of the FNAF game Sister Location. In this game, the setting has changed from the usual pizzerias, but rather it's now at a place called Circus Babies Entertainment and Rental. The game comes with its own set of new animatronics, with a few notable additions like Circus Baby and Ballora. For theorists, new characters meant new theories, but this time it was going to take a much more wicked turn. Creator and developer Kane Carter started the adult theory, which claimed that animatronics in Sister Location at FNAF game were not like the usual ones in the other FNAF games, and that they were actually at Circus Babies to provide a different sort of entertainment, one that was meant for an adult audience. With Kane Carter being such a well-known name in the FNAF community, many people have supported this theory, pushing it to be for real. But that's problematic considering many of FNAF fans are young, and with all the recent releases, it seems like the franchise has been trying to cater to younger audiences.
And of course, it's time to talk about the fans who take things to the next level.
Fans with no limits. The FNAF fandom is very devoted to their game and the characters within it, sometimes to the point where it's unhealthy and even dangerous. The most recent examples could be tied to the release of the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. With FNAF having such a passionate fan base, this has made the franchise's entrance into mainstream media a lot more difficult. The diehard fans of the games have clashed more than once with casual moviegoers, and there have been multiple incidents of FNAF fans who have ruined film showings by wreaking havoc.
It's been bad, bro. It's been really bad. I saw one video on Twitter of a bunch of people ending up fighting in a cinema because they had different opinions on the film.
Fans have been filmed stealing Five Nights at Freddy's themed cardboard cutouts, posters, and other merchandise from movie theaters. There are even videos of FNAF fans running through entire malls screaming and shouting as they follow someone who has stolen a piece of merchandise from the theater. The most famous incidents date back to 2015 and 2016 when FNAF fans overwhelmed local pizzerias so badly with spam calls because of baseless theories. In 2015, a piece of source code of an FNAF game was released that had a phone number inside of it, which just so happened to also belong to a pizzeria, which was the setting of the game. Thinking this was some sort of clue or leak of the next game, countless fans spam called the real pizzeria, harassing its employees and causing damage to the business. It got so bad that the creator Scott Hawthorne had to deliberately tell fans to stop doing this in a formal statement. But despite his best attempts, that didn't help at all, because a year later in 2016, this same thing happened again when another pizzeria was mass called about FNAF.
Now, anybody with a business named Freddy's needs to beware. If your phone is already not ringing off the hook, it might start soon.
And the only reason why? The pizzeria had just happened to be called Freddy's, and it wasn't even spelled the same way as the game. The most disturbing incident is what happened during MatPat's FNAF alternate reality game, or ARG hunt. Back in 2022, MatPat from Game Theory made a video on his theory about a Five Nights at Freddy's themed alternate reality game. In the video, Matt told his audience about his theory that an FNAF AR game was previously in the works, but scrapped before release. So Matt encouraged FNAF fans to go out into the real world to figure out if this AR game was actually in development. Countless FNAF fans went looking for possible clues to try and see if Matt's theory was actually real, but instead of proving that, they just ended up overwhelming several local businesses and disrespecting workers at restaurants and stores as they attempted to find answers.
Some people actually called the actual places of businesses in the towns that were referenced in the book. According to our subreddit, one place of business actually received enough annoying phone calls that they actually had to shut off their phone.
And it even escalated to a point where some fans suggested digging up an actual grave because they believed that there could be clues underneath it. It got so bad that MatPat had to call the entire thing off, begging FNAF fans to stop.
Just to be absolutely crystal clear, beyond a reasonable doubt, stop. Please stop.
Exploring the Five Nights at Freddy's community has shown us how a video game can stir up strong emotions, both good and bad, and some to the point of causing real destruction. My friends, your words and actions matter, especially online when no one is watching you. And it's time that we make the internet a friendlier place. Visual Venture. Wait, before you go, make sure you guys click subscribe here and then click this playlist to watch more dark internet documentaries, because the goal is 700,000 subscribers by the end of 2024. Thank you guys for everything. Peace.